Hello, and welcome to this video on the Python programming language. This presentation has been designed with no expectation of prior programming experience. My name is Connor Monahan. If you have any questions, my email is listed upon my website. Let's dive right into programming. I learned programming primarily by browsing examples in the basic programming language. Therefore, we will begin with a few examples. The simplest program one can make is a Hello World program, which simply prints a message to the screen. And I will test this program with the tool that's available on my website here, on the Programming tab. One can scroll down past the videos to the online Python compiler that I have included on the website, or you may use whatever tool you have, such as Canopy, PyCharm, for example. The first example calls for typing this. Running this code will print the message hello world to the screen. Print is a function that writes a message to the screen. These quotation marks here around the text hello world indicates that the value stored here is text. The next example that we will do will test the computer's ability to perform computations for us, as called by this example here. Let's jump down and try that out. You may also try these out for yourself with the online Python compiler, and I encourage you to pause the video and try it out for yourself as well. We are setting variable y to the answer of 1 plus 2, and we are going to print it. Does anybody have any guess as to what the answer of this will be? Well, the answer is obviously 3, because 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. This code computes this value, stores it in a variable, and prints it to the screen. This variable y here is similar to the way that calculators store variables and memory. First of all, what is Python? Python is an interpreted programming language. There are faster languages such as C++, but speed is not always the priority. Its syntax, or the way that the code is organized, is more forgiving than some other programming languages. Data types in Python. A data type is essentially what the data represents, be a number, word, or something more complex. Take a second to consider the data type of each of these three values. This first value is text because it's stored within quotes. The second value here is a floating point number. And the third value here is an integer because it does not have a decimal point. This is a list of the basic data types in Python. An integer is a number without a decimal point. A floating point is a number with a decimal point. A str or a stir is the text, as we were showing earlier, stored between quotation marks. A list is a special type of data type that can store multiple values. A tuple is a read-only version of a list, and a dictionary stores key value mapping. For programmers exposed to C++, these are some of the fundamental differences in Python. Variables, like a calculator's memory, store a value. They can store any type, whether it be text, number, whether that number is an integer or a floating point number, and they can also change their data type at any time. Here are some examples of variables. In the first example, we set the variable named y to hello. Storing data to a variable is done by using an equal sign. And variables can have any name, and they can be longer than one character. The first example stores text, master key, to the variable named name. The second example stores an integer to a variable named year. Here's a discussion of calling functions. We used print earlier, but what exactly is print? Print is a function that takes a parameter and writes it to the screen. The parameter can be of any data type. It can be a value itself or a variable reference. In this first example, this is what we did with our hello world example. We called print with hello world or whatever message we choose. But print can also take something that's not a value. It can take a variable. What we did in this second example is we took the text hello world and we assigned it to a variable named message, and then we called the print command on this. Both of these prints will have identical outputs, and the output of the program will simply be hello twice. Take a second to consider what this program will print to the screen. Specifically, what is the value of the variable next year when the program is finished? In this case, we start off by assigning the number 2016 to the variable named year. In the second example, what the program does first is it computes this sum here. It computes the sum of year and 1. So what it does is it reads from the variable, it finds out that 2016 is stored in the variable, and sums it with 1. And the answer to this will be 2017. Next thing it does is it takes 2017 and it stores it in the variable named next year. And the last thing it does is it calls the print function, which prints it to the screen. Let's take a second to discuss tuples and lists. Tuples and lists are a special data type that can store multiple values. A list is a list of values. The first list, stored in the variable named names, contains 2 elements, both of which are text. To access one of these elements, use square brackets after the variable name with the index, as shown here. Now, why did I use 0 when there are 2 elements in this list? How indexing actually works is that the first value in the list, while all values in the list are separated by commas, the first value has an index of 0, and the second value has an index of 1. This is a certain peculiarity with programming, dates back to historical reasons, and is best kept as its current convention. This command here will print out the first value from names. So this command here will print Connor. This is an example of a tuple, which is simply a read-only version of a list. This here will print the second value of this tuple. This tuple could represent anything. It could be a mapping between a student ID and their grade, or it can be used for anything else. Remember to try these out for yourself. You can rewind through the video and test out all of the code examples that I have gone over in this video using the online compiler that is available on my website.